Welcome back, everyone. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. I am Dark Hour 717, and this is the Star Citizen Weekly News Review for the week of 3rd September. This is where we'll go over all the latest and greatest information to come out in the last week of the Star Citizen verse. Before we get started, if you enjoy these updates, help me out and hit that like and subscribe button, and let's get the videos out to more people. I greatly appreciate it, and thank all of you that have already subscribed. Don't forget to check out the community page here on YouTube to see how you can get entered into our September screenshot contest and possibly win a Drake Cutlass Black. Getting into this week, we originally were hoping to see hotfixes last week to hit the live PU to make improvements on several issues we were having in the game. At the tail end of last week, we got word that the hotfixes would be postponed until midweek this week. We did receive the hotfixes on Wednesday, and within the patch notes, we see many of the items listed that were in testing on the PTU. We see that there were 8 client crashes, 9 server crashes, 2 server deadlocks, all fixed, as well as a backend service crash that was causing players' AUEC to temporarily disappear. Some feature updates on the new patch are combat service beacons, having lowered the frequency of low tier and increased the frequency of moderate, high, and critical tier beacons, as well as making fixes to the service beacon system that was causing the beacons to pay out at a much higher rate than intended. They also have changed the max button on sales kiosk to a +10 button, and the friends list should now be sorted by alphabetical order, and finally the HP of multiple parts on the Asperia blade is now lower. Some of the known issues though listed are repetitive ones carrying over from past patches, but do include the Saber Raven visual effects causing green flickering light to fill the screen, and so much of an effect that they've given all owners of the Saber Raven a standard saber to use in the meantime. Other known issues that we see listed though include needing to close the launcher after a 30k before relaunching, and this has been pretty standard for a while now. Targeting pips may not appear on targets. Ships floating in hangar if you forget to shut down before storing. The Argo Rafts elevator is still non-functional from inside the ship, though this does not make the vehicle unflyable, as you can get to all the decks via the ladder and exit from the airlock. Entry into the ship is unaffected though. Underground facility missions can be missing NPCs, so mission may not be able to be completed. Armor and weapons may disappear between sessions from your inventory. We have actually seen this, and it tends to really be what you were wearing when you logged off previously. Turrets at bunkers can still respawn instantaneously. Lagrange stations are severely offset from the asteroid fields that they should be spawned in as well. And one other carryover is the character's arm could be shown in the wrong location when in the pilot seat, causing it to be raised into the air. Though minor, this can be a detriment on a number of ships as it severely blocks your view when flying. As the known issues go, this is a moderate amount that we currently have, and of course are not the only bugs in the game, as we have recently seen the bug of quantuming on a player at or near the surface of a moon or planet make a player go into the planet itself. This of course was a long time issue that was listed as a fix in 3.17.1 and had not occurred for us until the hotfixes went in, and since then has already occurred numerous times to many in the org. Now the one benefit for this is that if you survive going into the planet, you can actually escape. You need to cut your speed down to under 10 meters per second and slowly move to the surface, and you'll be able to pop out as long as you keep it at that low speed, and you'll survive with minimal damage. Just remember though, bugs coming and going is not an uncommon occurrence. As they make changes to improve some areas, it can cause past bugs to reappear. What we do see in the patch notes in equal amounts to known issues is the bug fixes. With many items having been worked on in the PTU, we see many of these carry over to the live servers. This includes a fix to improve the elevators, as an issue is causing them to malfunction. This one is much welcomed, as at times a number of stations could become unusable because of the failed elevators. The one item that was listed in the PTU I did not see moving to live is the 60-second timer specifically listed to reset the elevator if it is detected to be non-functioning. Now that does not mean it's not part of the bug fixes listed, but was listed as a separate entry on PTU, so very possibly that did not make it into the live servers. Other bug fixes do include party launching system, and it seems to be working consistently now. The whole A paints are now in inventory for all the owners to use them. Aegis Gladius Foundation skin is going to be applying correctly now and no longer blocking the windscreen. They also fixed the search and destroy mission, so destroyed probes are counted if destroyed before the mission states that you found them. Player medical beacons should now be paying out properly. and fixed the infinite load screen when logging back in after a crash from inside a vehicle or ship. And also, if you're going to be sending a UEC to players, they do say that that is fixed and you can now send to players that are not on your server, and it should not cause the funds to just disappear into limbo. There are a number of other fixes and known issues above and beyond what I mentioned here, but I will have a link to the patch notes in the description to check them all out. The newest patch to 3.17.2 has really seemed to have improved the overall gameplay. Though one thing to note is that though the service beacons are listed as a featured gameplay, in the few days that we've actually been playing, the service beacons have actually failed to appear at all. As well as the friends list has also been hit or miss as to whether it sorts properly or not. Each session I've been in, the sorting has been the same as before with no change. But in all, the patch has made improvements in some of the most needed areas such as the elevators. This was one bug that could really become game breaking, and it seems to be working well. The stability seems to also be maintaining itself at a high level, and in the days since the update we've only suffered 2 30k crashes over several days and many hours of gameplay. I'm really looking forward to getting more time with the new changes, and of course we'll update in future news reviews as to any changes that we see in the performance. This week we also see Phase 2 of the Ship Showdown begin, with the first head-to-head battles taking place and voting opening up to support your favorite ships. In the first battles of Phase 2, we see the Redeemer beat out the Aegis Gladius to move into the next round, where it will go up against the RSI Scorpius, which defeated the Vanguard Warden. And on the third battle, we see the 600i move ahead after outperforming the Anvil Terrapin. The 600i will then take on the winner of the Carrack versus the 400i once that bout is decided. At the time of making this video, the Carrack is well ahead by over 3,000 votes. Other matchups that we see in this round are going to be the Cuddy Black versus the Mercury Star Runner, the Freelancer Max against the Argo Raft, the Avenger Titan versus the Aegis Eclipse, and the C8X Pisces will take on the Drake Mule. What we did learn midweek is that due to last year's event and a high number of burner accounts being created for both sides in the Battle of the MPUV, they have made changes to the voting system. As announced by Xylo, 0 billing accounts will not have the opportunity to vote in this year's Ship Showdown, as well as new accounts will also not be able to if created during the time of the voting phase. As stated, this was an issue in last year's Ship Showdown, though per CIG, the number of fake or burner accounts was about equal for both sides and basically negated each other out. Though I think that it's a great step for CIG to take to address the issue, since even in the Spectrum post, some mention people they know with upwards of 500 burner 0 billing accounts that were used for previous voting. Another change that has been made was the inability to see current standings of the voting until your vote is placed. These changes will definitely make a positive change for the event, and CIG's efforts to quell some of the drama is greatly appreciated. And one last thing, I want to say congratulations to the 3 winners of the Ship Showdown TikTok competition, with Antizios Spaziel winning first place, Citizen Sebix winning second place, and Forest Street Pete winning third place. I recommend checking out their entries. I'll have links in the description to that, but congratulations. You have some extremely well-made videos and I greatly enjoyed them. So everybody check those out if you get the opportunity. Some other items addressed by Xylo and Spectrum this week was the question on the dates for CitizenCon, and as stated, we should see more on this next week, as well as the question of Siege of Orison and whether we'll see it again. He answers that it will be returning in this 3.17 cycle. In another funny occurrence, it was pointed out on Spectrum as well as others such as Montoya that the PTV briefly got listed with a Ship Showdown edition in the Pledge store, albeit at a cost of free. As this was actually a mistake, many backers were actually able to grab the little buggy and add it to their hangars. But as the mistake was discovered by CIG, they did get it corrected and also were able to void out all the transactions made to obtain the PTV and remove it from those that grabbed it. This weekend, we do continue to see Jumptown being run in a 24-hour format, and we actually participated in this on Friday night and had a wonderful time. We actually were able to find ourselves going up against several players as we held the facility and were able to negotiate our way to a safe departure, having left with 1.2 million AUEC worth of goods. And shout out to VNGD crew. Thank you for the great time at the event. This will be running the entire weekend, and recommend if you enjoy this type of event, get in while you can with just a couple days left to experience it. This, of course, brings us to the regularly scheduled news sources, and Monday we saw the latest This Week in Star Citizen, which announced Phase 2 and the 16 contenders in the ship Showdown, as well as informed us we would not see a Star Citizen live this week. This brought us to Tuesday with the official lore day, and we see the Galactopedia update. With a single full-length entry on the Aegis Gladius, this covers the history, development, and current status of this popular fighter. After that, we see 20 short entries on a variety of different things from locations, individuals, and other cultural items throughout the verse. The link is going to be in the description if you're a lore enthusiast. I definitely recommend checking it out. Wednesday, we did see a very brief roadmap roundup with just a single entry being the addition of the Grey Cat PTV track located at Orison to the release view for 3/18, and then into Thursday, which brought us a slightly different Inside Star Citizen. This one devoted to PES, or Persistent Entity Streaming. Jared conducts a brief question and answer session on the current state of PES with Benoit, one of the leads from the Montreal studio. Starting with a basic look at what PES is, they get into what it means for a player, explaining that if you interact with a can on one session or a door and come back in another session, those effects will still be present. They also get into discussing the cleanup process for trash and items that will need to be cleaned up from Persistence. Benoit goes into the internal testing that they've been doing on the system and the achievements that they've made, and the fact that it is in day-to-day testing with everyone internally, and that they are addressing the bugs as they are occurring in real time. Also, Benoit brings up the login flow and that there will be changes with PES as to the login process, though no details were given. Benoit also went into the breakdown of operational services in the cloud and the process of the technology. Jared then gets into asking about the effects of what the player caps will have on PES. But Benoit goes through with a detailed explanation as to why this is not a concern for them. And then they move on to speaking to the fact that they are concentrating on moving ahead to deployment, and this is the focus to get PES to the point to hit the PTU. Of course, Jared stresses that they don't like to forecast dates, but still asks Benoit if he can forecast anything, but Benoit replies that he won't, of course, which is understandable. When talking about the effects on players, they do stress that overall performance, this will have no effect on frame rate or anything, but really the immersion level that this will add, and that's going to be immense. Of course, Benoit does state that the big unknown is not knowing what the players will do with this technology. As we all know, players can come up with some very interesting ways to stress a system that the devs never think of. As a point, Benoit does go into that this is what will bring server meshing in, and the fact that this is an important part of that technology as well. The show itself has a huge amount of information, and I definitely recommend checking it out. The link's going to be in the description, so definitely check that out. And that is it for this week as far as news, and I want to remind everyone to check out the community page to see how you can enter September's screenshot contest here on YouTube for a chance to win a Drake Cuddy Black. The winning screenshot, as well as all the entries, will be highlighted in a video after judging is completed, which will be the first week of October. And if you want to catch more content, check out the Twitch channel where we stream every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you would like to help support the channel, check out the merch store, hit that join button above for a membership as low as 99 cents per month, or even just give a super thanks on the video. I greatly appreciate it, and it all goes back into the contest and giveaways back to the community. Thank you again to everyone for joining me, and please be safe out there, and we will catch you in the verse.